everybody, and welcome to Tech Talk. I am Jennifer Cooper. I'm the fractional CMO at fOCUS360. And today on Tech Talk, we're chatting with Mr. Tyler Stouder. Hello, Tyler.
Hey, Jen. Thanks for having me.
Of course, super excited for our conversation today. For those of you who do not know Tyler, Tyler is a CRM consultant with his own firm, Stouder Consulting. And he's also an advisor with Home Builder Ops. So Tyler, welcome to the show. All right.
Thanks, Jen.
Yeah, super excited. So today we're going to talk about the power of CRM use and implementation, integration, how we integrate everything with all the technology that we're using to support home builder lead generation and lead management tactics. It's super important. I like to refer to CRM as like the sauce to my marketing spaghetti because there's so many things going on. And how do we, pull in that dish, right? How do we pull in everything that we're doing and give our OSCs a place to leverage conversations, our sales, our marketing, our leadership to really understand how lead conversations and really get a sense of where the market is. All of that pulls so much in to the CRM. So today for Tech Talk, I thought this was definitely a viable topic since we talk about all things technology for home builders. So super excited. Let's talk about our marketing spaghetti today.
There we go. Very nice.
So Tyler, in your role, you're supporting overall CRM implementation. Can you elaborate on what platforms that you support and why do home builders in particular? I know you can service a lot of different niches and verticals, but why do home builders call you and your team specifically for CRM support?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think the main thing, and especially in all verticals across the board, is really what is a CRM, right? So like it's this word that gets tossed around, tech jargon, right? But I don't think there's still a lot of people that don't understand what CRM stands for, and that's customer relationship management. And it is software that does exactly that. So when we talk CRM, there are specific CRMs that we like to play with, and there are certain CRMs out there that are fantastic, but there are some specifically for builders that we really find happen to be the best, and that specifically is HubSpot. So HubSpot is a huge component. It's where myself and then the home builder ops crew put a lot of our time and effort into, is really helping builders understand that platform, how to best use it, to your point, for your marketing spaghetti, how the sales team can use it to help qualify their leads, how operations can see as a whole where contacts or leads and how things are converting. So it's a really just big plate of data and we need to make it viable and understandable for every department that touches it. Going back to your spaghetti, like it's the plate that holds it all.
Yeah, and it's still surprising to me today how many home builders, now I'm not saying the top 100, but some of the smaller and more regional builders don't have a CRM. They are working, or maybe they have something really ancient that I don't know you or I would give it that kind of a tag.
So I think that's an important point. So like Excel documents, notebooks, that everyone keeps on their desk, like in a way that is a CRM. But that data lives within one person. And it's very hard for cross-function departments to like work and actually use that data to help make decisions and drive sales.
Yeah.
We got to get it in one place.
Exactly. And we've worked together in several atmospheres. And the interesting thing about CRMs is sales professionals can be amazing sales professionals, but they're typically afraid of this tool. One, again, depending on the person, it does shine the light on a lot of accountability. But even if you're good and you don't want that light shined on you, it's a whole different process, right? Like we used to joke, but I don't think this is a joke, is that home builders would keep a shoebox under, or sales professionals might keep a shoebox underneath their desk where they were like throwing reg cards, right? Well, if you don't have any registration and you're still doing reg cards, I guarantee you that is still happening, because they would take the ones that they feel like they're really working and they're going to focus on those, but the rest may get dumped in that shoebox. I've actually seen this happen. Man. So, I mean, it's really, really have seen it happen. So it's a mixture of How much will I be held accountable? How will my job change? I'm really good at what I do. I can be a great sales professional, but I just don't want to put in the extra time. What sales needs to understand is that the more we understand information out of that CRM, one, it reports back to leadership on how to run the business to make the business more successful for the salesperson to be successful. It's such a mine of data that it only helps them be successful. But many times sales teams will be adverse to it because they think it's all about them. But it's about marketing. It's about operations. It's about data on where we're going to build land, who's coming into the area, where migration's coming. There's a whole host. It is an operational tool, not just a sales tool. I can get on a soapbox.
Yeah, for sure. And what I like to say to those sales leaders is I get it, right? You are possessive of your leads. Like this is your lead that you got. But when you go the shoebox approach or you go the notebook approach, nobody else knows that. So, Tyler Stouder could come into your model one day, and depending how cross-sell rules are or whatever your specific business has set up, like you may own that lead and that's your hot lead that you're keeping on that registration card in your front desk. But then Tyler Stouder goes to another community in your company. There is no electronic record of that information to know. Now I'm this new person's lead. And now it's a fight for who's going to convert this lead. And so like that's the value I try to bring when I talk to a sales team specifically is like, hey, this is your chance to own it for everyone to see. And then the nice thing about having, cross-function connections is that, hey, the marketing team could help you. Yeah, might be your B lead. We could put it in some sort of marketing campaign or drip that you don't have to do, salesperson. Like let marketing team work for your behalf. That could help qualify that lead a lot more. And when they hear that, like, whoa, okay, now that makes sense. That makes sense why I want to put my contact into the system is to have someone help me sell.
We create more of a team environment with the CRM than without one, for sure. And I always have that. I know it sounds terrible, but like the hit by a bus syndrome.
Yeah,
I do that with everybody. I do that with myself. Like if one of us just can't be in, or you're sick, or you take a vacation, how do you keep those leads still moving through the pipeline? So important. Especially when we're in a down market like this, where everyone is literally, extra golden right now. So that kind of leads me to my next question. So when builders come to you saying, hey, Tyler, I want to build a CRM with like HubSpot or Lasso. There are several options out there specifically that builders may know the brand. They don't necessarily know all the bells and whistles. How do you get the builder prepared? I mean, I laugh when I've literally been in board meetings where someone says, oh, we'll get a CRM. We can get that going in about 90 days, right, Jennifer? It's definitely, there's short and long term.
You could get it up in 90 days.
There are those assumptions. They just think, well, you just buy it off the shelf and you can start using it. And there's short term and long term wins with the CRM. But how do you get those conversations going? Because I'm hoping we'll have a couple builders say on this TekTalk that are considering a CRM, and like kind of set up the roadmap. How do they get ready to have one in place?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think and I'm going to go back to HubSpot. And this is why we like HubSpot, because you could, in theory, take HubSpot, you could take it off the shelf right out of the box and you could be successful, right? Like you really could. But the beauty about HubSpot is that you can customize it to the way you sell or the way you build or the way you operate. And that's the beauty of bringing in a team like Home Builder Ops, is because you understand the business. Like we've been there, we've worked with builders, we know the HubSpots in and outs and can help, set up those workflows, those pipelines, that process. But going back to your question is, hey, we want a CRM, we just don't know where to start. The question is always like, well, what are you doing now? Like is it the shoebox full? Is it the notebook? Is it, well, our salespeople just manage their own book of business and that's it, and we feel comfortable with it? Okay, so after you answer that question, then it's like, well, what do you want to know? Because we can come up with all the, like, we know as sales and marketing leaders, like we know what they're trying to get to, but you got to lead them to what you're trying to lead the question essentially so it's, hey, well, what do you want out of it? Well, we just want to know if we're converting. Okay, so take OSCs, for example. You've got an OSC team. They're handling all your leads. The question we like, well, do you know what their conversion rate is? Well, they enter it into an Excel spreadsheet that we review at the end of the month, and we take it and like, okay, do you trust that spreadsheet? Do you know, does it taking into all sorts of other factors that we could set up through technology? Well, no, it's not. So we like to bring up the questions. There's a ton of different questions that we can ask, almost like an audit checkpoint to go through and be like, okay, is this something you're interested in? Okay, let's talk warranty now. Do you want to keep warranty in the system? What about post-sale communication? Have you thought about that? So there's all these different questions that play out, and really we try to get builders to think and, well, yeah, this is what we want to accomplish. And then it's a whole leadership discussion on you got to get leadership bought in. So I think that's another bigger picture to talk about down the road.
Yeah, for sure. So speaking about getting leadership brought in, who typically hires you, and who do you typically work with when it comes to home builder teams?
Yeah, so usually it's the marketing team that reaches out first right away, right? Because that's honestly what HubSpot was first designed to be, was marketing software. And they did a really great job. Emails, social, like that's what it was. And then as they have grown and really have a footprint in just the CRM marketplace, like it's expanded to a fully functioning CRM where sales teams, operation teams, warranty teams, like anybody can work out a HubSpot strictly because the customization of it. So usually it's the marketing team that comes in like, hey, we know that we need better data. Like we are trying to send out some sort of campaign, but the data we have, like it's just not accurate. So it's usually marketers who come to us and we get a good marketing foundation set in place, which then leads to discussions with the sales team to be like, hey, we have these foundations in place. Let us help you now make sure that we as a marketing team are reaching your buyers at the right time. It's the whole customer journey and making sure we're getting them the right content at the right time. So really it's the marketing team that sees value first, and really the right time to bring us in is anytime you're thinking of anything CRM at all. It's never too late and it's never too early. And as I mentioned earlier, HubSpot can be just out of the box, which is great. There's a lot of times that we've taken what's been out of the box and simplified, or added in a few extra steps to help the builder really get to where they want to be.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And then there's typically bringing in my experience too, bringing in IT, bringing in a sales leader, and maybe even a head of operations, because you have to, maybe we starts with marketing. It starts with marketing and sales. And I can say this from the builder side of the fence. But then it turns into a broader operation. Like, how do you want all these dashboards? And as you and I know, the CEO, the COO may want very specific reporting that's just niche to what they need. But then the other leaders in the organization may be drilling deeper into those numbers, into more of a, not organic, but just a much deeper level.
For sure.
Of how they need to dig in with their teams. So there's reports that sales managers need, that VPs need, that CEOs need, that marketing needs, that IT might need. There's a lot of those different pieces to pull apart, and even in my experience. So let's talk a little bit about kind of moving on, talk about integrations, because from a marketing standpoint, us marketers in home building have all different. We've got self-touring, we've got kiosks, we've got call rail, we've got a whole host of, I could name 5 or 10 things, and we want to be able to integrate everything, so we're pulling data from all those sources, not just saying, hey, I know what my walk-in traffic is, I know where my leads are coming from, but there's a lot of sources. So how are you what are some of the items that you'll be working on with teams when you're implementing any kind of integrations?
Yeah, so that's part of those early questionnaires. It's like, where are you advertising? Where are you listing? Like, home builders have all the listing sites, right? So we're out there on Zillow, Realtor.com, the BDX infrastructure. There are lots of those out there. So we want to find out, where are you pushing data at? Where are you advertising? Where are you marketing your homes? So we can start there. But we want everything that marketing is touching and advertising to come back into HubSpot. Like, HubSpot truly should be our source of truth for everything. It's where we can see the whole 180-degree picture of the buyer. We can see what they've interacted with, no matter where they've interacted with it. So someone comes into your website, they fill out the web form, great, they're in the system. We also then want to know if they've used Entered Now and came back later. We want to make sure that data writes. If they've downloaded a third-party app, that has our information on. We want that data to come back into HubSpot because that helps not only our sales team know how to sell to that person, but then it helps our marketing team know where to market to that person. So that's one of the first things that we talk about when we ever work with any builder is where is stuff at, like, and how can we get it into HubSpot? Because we don't want sales and marketing people to to log into multiple pieces of software. When that happens, one is going to triumph over the other. And so we want all that data to come back and live, whether it's connection points via APIs or there's direct HubSpot integrations. There's some really great software out there that does that. I'm a big fan right now of Aircall. Aircall is a fantastic HubSpot integration from a calling standpoint, but as easy as we can make it for our users is where we want to go. So, and that's what the great thing about HubSpot, like, and I was mentioning is, I think that we should have took a time, like a check at the start, like how many times does Tyler say HubSpot, by the way, because we just ching, 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 ching. It's one of the reasons why we do like HubSpot.
A little bit, it's a great platform, but obviously there are others out there that builders might be using. So I'm going to be sensitive to that. But I think there's going to be a lot of the same, rhythm and rhyme to the questions and the why and the what and the how that are asked regardless of what program that you're working on. But yes, definitely HubSpot is fantastic. Another piece I think about is the word API, and really all that means is it have a plug? I kind of think of it visually as a plug to plug in to the CRM so that the data can come through. And today, I'd say 5-6 years ago, there weren't as many open APIs or we're gonna have to go build an API for that. Now I feel like where just with technology is the conversation for things to integrate is less of an issue. And what I would love to say for you, again, when you're the marketing person leading this charge, as I have been, you will be very involved in the process, as Tyler points out, but also working with someone like Tyler, he'll often go to the vendors on my behalf, CC me and say, hey, we need to get this to work, or this isn't working. So you do as a partner, take a lot of some of that kind of day-to-day tasks to get some of those connections working and things moving smoothly. But there does have to be a point person, because you've got to make decisions for the builder on how those integrations are working, what's missing, and sometimes there's some decisions to be made in between how those integrations work. So I'll give that as some advice to any listeners out there that will go through this process too. I'll say that's the beauty of having an industry specific consultant, is because we know those conversations to have. And that's what I like to tell a lot of like builders that we work with is like, listen, we want you to focus on the marketing side, or we want you to focus on the sales side, all that behind the stuff scene to make stuff work. Like, that's what we're here for. We know the language, we speak the language. Like, let us do that so you can focus on, the event that you've got coming up in 3 weeks. Let you focus on your B leads right now that you're trying to convert. We'll handle all that stuff in the background. And there's a great book out there. It's called The Who, Not How, and I like to reference this a lot. So the premise is, how do you build your team? How do you build your bench, right? Michael Jordan was a fantastic basketball player. No one can argue that. Michael Jordan did not win championships until the Chicago Bulls started bringing in Phil Jackson as the coach, bringing in Scottie Pippen, creating different environments for Michael Jordan to succeed. So it's kind of like that. Like, hey, let's build the team and let's bring in the Scottie Pippens. Let's bring in the Phil Jacksons. Let's, introduce the triangle offense, so that way our Michael Jordans can be successful. Yeah, no, that's a great love that analogy for sure. So kind of rounding out, are there any components or things that builders don't think about or expect when they're bringing on a new CRM? Anything that, I didn't know.
Yeah, and I think it's the siloed communication. So marketing comes at it from a marketing approach, and they don't think of the effects that they have on the sales team, or vice versa. Sales wants something done this way, and they don't think of the effect that it has on the marketing team or the operations team from a reporting standpoint. So really making sure those barriers get broken down really help to make sure that CRM implementation or administrative work can be successful. So there's a
you
lot of
know,
a lot of that, I would say, is kind of the biggest barriers that really come up
yeah.
from
I
an
think there's a lot of
implementation.
ahas. There's a lot of ahas in the process of where either communication isn't as streamlined to the customer, or reporting and communication isn't streamlined enough through the organization. I've always found ahas.
Yeah,
I think honestly, the implementation process actually makes the organization stronger.
for sure.
Personal,
For sure.
personal experience speaks to that for sure.
And data, you mentioned it earlier, data reveals accountability. It really does. So I mentioned there's the spreadsheet that people are keeping track of. Well, that's only the small picture. That's the picture that so and so wants you to see. When you look at a CRM as a whole, there's so many other things that can tell that story. So it might look like from that small spreadsheet report that conversion looks way down, but as you look through the data, you could actually see why data could be down. Like the leads that are coming through X platform aren't the greatest. They're spam type leads, or the handoff is there, and then we look at the sales, like conversion's not there from the sales side. So it really opens up view into how well teams are doing, and there's a lot of accountability then that comes into play.
Yeah, for sure. All
Yeah.
good things. All good things.
It's all great things. It really is. And but it's all at the same time, I always say it's also a big CYA too.
Yeah.
Because you could have buyers saying one thing, and then we all know buyers, like they might not necessarily be the easiest to work with, but then there's that track record, there's that paper trail that kind of helps sales teams, operations teams, like, well, no, this is actually what was discussed, right? This is what we said, like there was an appointment in place, you confirmed it. Whatever the situation may be, data could be used positively as well. It's not just oh no, I'm not hitting all my, I'm not responding to everybody, or I'm not converting. We could use it positively as well.
Yeah, for sure. And the accountability, it goes full circle across the board. I mean, the biggest thing, I had this happen with one of our builders the other day, where I was just looking, you'll get lead count. So right now, we need leads, and we need sales, and we need lead conversions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we can report on a number and say, oh yeah, we got 300 leads last week. We're good.
Yeah.
Well, did you, right? So the
Right.
CRM helps us see where the fat is, where the actual leads are, and then where the actual conversions are, because then that helps it's always great for marketing to say, you give out a big number. Well, I got reports that say this.
Yeah.
But if you find out that those numbers are bogus and it's a bunch of junk or it's a bunch of spam, I'm now embarrassed because I'm not reporting on a true number, and I'm not helping my company get to their objective. So I need to know if they're low, what's not working in the mix? What do we need more of? What's broken potentially in the mix? And you won't know that until you're looking at pure data. So we can't go off the shoe boxes. We can't go off the spreadsheets. We can't go off lofty numbers. We always have to dig in.
That's right. And
help us do that.
Yeah. And I think with that, a little piece of free advice for everyone is like, every contact in the system should have some sort of type or naming convention to it, where you know what type of contact that is. Contacts and leads are completely different individuals. We like to say a contact is anyone who's in your system, regardless of what they are. So you might have a form and you look at it from a high level marketing side, be like, man, that form killed it. We had 25 submissions this week. Well, those 25 submissions, 5 of them might be spam. 3 of them might be buyers coming back. I apologize. Buyers coming back. 2 of them might be vendors. So really, once you break apart and be like, okay, out of those contacts that came in through that form, only 10 of them were true leads. True. And to your point, like that's where the fat needs to get trimmed out, so you can have a better picture of how your stuff is converting.
Is the market good or not?
Defined.
Right?
Yep.
Is it good? That's all we really need to know.
Right.
So love all the advice. Hopefully this motivates or inspires someone to look at their CRM process, the opportunity for CRM if they don't have one, and to absolutely reach out to someone like yourself that, Tyler speaks the home building industry because he's been in marketing departments. That's where we met many moons ago. So I would definitely with working with lots of different implementation specialists, always find someone that knows our vertical, because otherwise they really just become a salesperson that doesn't dig into the business. So that would be kind of my last piece of advice on the topic. Right. Let's end with something fun. You go to a lot of different conferences. I love that you do work in other verticals. So what shows will you be attending this year? Is there anything kind of outside of the box that it's not the IBS or not PCBC or SCBC, but like, is there something different that our home building friends may be interested in attending?
Yeah, great question. So a lot of people don't know. So I am not traveling much this year. I have like an 18-week at home, like 18, our third child came. So travel this year is slowing down. But a big staple that I always hit, of course, is the HubSpot conference every year. It's usually out in Boston. This year, HubSpot's making a bold move and taking it out to Salesforce's backyard in San Francisco. So we'll be out there. But my friends at Home Builder Ops, they'll be at the Shore Conference, right? They'll be at IBS this year. So look for them as well. They travel. We get out there and make sure, we can talk. But yeah, this year just kind of taking super dad mode.
Hey, that's the best job in the world.
It's fantastic.
That's mom. Did it. Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for being with us here today, Tyler. I appreciate it very, very much.
Absolutely.
And so anybody, thank you for joining in. And if anybody isn't following us on TekTalk on Spotify and YouTube, please do. We have a whole library. You can also access it on focus360.com and get some other great learnings and great guest insights on those channels. So until next time, it was really great to have you here today, Tyler. And thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jen. We'll see you.